For 17 years, he loved a woman he could not find. 17 years without knowing if she was still breathing. Some loves fade quietly, others disappear without permission. And then there are the rare ones, the kind that refuse to die, even when everything else does. This is not a story about obsession. It is not a story about destiny. It is a story about a man who kept loving, even when love gave him no answers. And the question that haunted him every single day was simple. How do you mourn someone when you don't know if you've lost them? He was not the kind of man people noticed. He spoke carefully, listened more than he talked, carried his emotions like fragile glass, careful not to drop them, careful not to let anyone see the cracks. Life had taught him early that attachment was dangerous, that the moment you love deeply, you give the world permission to hurt you. So he learned control, routine, silence. And then she arrived, not loudly, not dramatically. She arrived the way light does, soft, unnoticed at first, until suddenly everything looks different. She laughed easily, loved openly, believed feelings were meant to be shared, not hidden. Where he guarded his heart, she offered hers freely. She spoke of small dreams, simple joys, quiet futures, moments that mattered more than achievements. And slowly, without ever agreeing to it, they began orbiting each other. No declarations, no promises, just presence. Some nights, they sat together and said nothing at all, and somehow that silence felt full. He never told her how deeply he felt, not because he didn't know, but because he believed there was time. And she waited. She waited through his hesitation, waited through his silence, waited through the moments he almost spoke but didn't. Because love, to her, was patience, but time was already running ahead of them, and neither of them knew it yet. Their love did not announce itself. It grew in habits, in shared walks, in remembering how the other took their tea. It lived in concern, in worry, in the way he noticed when her voice sounded tired. He showed love through action. She searched for it in words. And still, they were happy. Not loudly happy. Not the kind that demands attention. The kind that settles into you and makes you believe this could last. But every love has a fragile point. For him, it was fear. Fear that if he said the words, they would disappear. Fear that love, once spoken, could be taken away. And for her it was waiting for the moment he would finally choose her with his voice, not just his presence. She believed that day would come. She believed love would catch up to them. Until one morning, she didn't arrive. No message, no explanation, no goodbye. At first, he wasn't afraid. He told himself she was busy, that life interrupts sometimes. But hours passed, then days, and something inside him began to fracture. Because absence has a sound, and it grows louder the longer it lasts. He searched in the only ways he knew how, asked careful questions, waited where they used to meet, and slowly, painfully, the truth settled in. She was gone. Not left. Gone. And the worst part wasn't the silence. It was the uncertainty. Because grief usually comes with an ending. This one didn't. And as days turned into weeks, he began to realize something terrifying. You cannot move on from someone who never said goodbye. He replayed every conversation, every glance, every moment he stayed silent. When he should have spoken, regret has a way of sharpening memory. He wondered if she waited too long, if his fear taught her she was unloved. But what he did not know was that her disappearance was not an escape. It was a decision made in pain, a decision made alone. She believed leaving was an act of love, that staying would destroy him. So she vanished, carrying a truth she never let him see. And he was left behind, with nothing but memory, and a question that refused to rest. Is she alive, or am I loving a ghost? What he never knew was that her disappearance had a beginning, long before her absence. Pain has a way of staying quiet, until it can no longer be ignored. She had been fighting something alone, not just fear, but the knowledge that her time, as she understood it then, felt uncertain. Doctors spoke carefully. Family members avoided eye contact. Words like treatment and waiting filled the spaces where certainty should have been. And in the middle of it all, there was him, a man who loved through steadiness, through routine, Through showing up, she believed that if he knew, he would stay, and that terrified her, because loving him meant wanting to protect him from the version of her that might become fragile. So she chose distance. Instead of goodbye, she told herself this was mercy. She told herself he would forget, but forgetting was the one thing he never learned how to do. Time moved forward. He did not. Life continued around him. People fell in love, got married, built futures. He attended weddings with a polite smile, listened to love stories that felt like they belonged to another world. He dated briefly, tried to feel something close to what he once had, but every connection ended the same way, because love, for him, had already chosen its place. 17 years passed, 17 winters, 17 summers, and still he waited, not actively, not dramatically. He waited the way people wait, for something they don't believe will happen, but cannot let go of. Some nights, he imagined her alive somewhere older, changed, still laughing. Other nights, he imagined nothing at all, because imagining her gone felt like betrayal. And then, on a day that felt completely ordinary, something shifted. It wasn't a miracle. It wasn't dramatic. It was small. A name spoken in passing. A detail that felt too familiar. A coincidence that refused to be ignored. Curiosity turned into unease. Unease into hope. And hope after 17 years was terrifying, because hope means risking heartbreak. All over again, he searched quietly, carefully, afraid that if he moved too fast, the truth would vanish again. And then he found her, alive, standing in a place he never expected, carrying years in her eyes. She looked different, stronger, marked by time. But when their eyes met, the world paused. 17 years collapsed into a single breath. She spoke his name, and in that moment, every question he ever carried answered itself. They did not rush toward each other. They stood still as if movement might undo what was happening. Her voice trembled when she apologized. His did not. When he said her name, she told him everything. About the fear, the illness, the choice she believed was love. He listened, not with anger, not with accusation, but with relief. Because the woman he loved had never chosen to leave him. She had chosen to protect him. And for the first time, he understood something about himself. Love isn't proven by silence. It's proven by staying. This time he did not wait. This time he spoke. And 17 years of unsaid love finally found its voice. They did not pretend time hadn't passed. They honored it. They spoke slowly, learned each other again. They laughed at who they used to be, grieved what they lost. But love, real love, does not demand perfection. It asks for honesty. And this time they chose it. Together, they built something new, not from fantasy, but from truth. A love tested by absence, strengthened by survival. Some loves are born in moments. Others are forged in waiting. And sometimes, love disappears, only to return stronger than it ever was before. Because true love does not vanish with time. It waits. It remembers. It endures. Would you have waited 17 years for someone you weren't sure was still alive? And if love returned, would you have the courage to choose it again?